salutes you from the Seven Kingdoms and welcomes you to his review of Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 2, Home. So we start the episode Beyond the Wall with Bran and the Green Seer seeing Bran's past, and we see a young Eddard Stark, a young Rickard Stark, and then of course a young Lyanna Stark, who's the only Stark with black hair. I wonder if she ever had a son who also had black hair. It's a quick scene and the only scene we get from Bran, which actually I didn't care for much. It was well done, it was interesting, and it's going to be important in the future because this was a very clear form of foreshadowing. However, given to the fact that we didn't get any Bran from last season, it kinda seems wasted at the beginning of this episode due to the fact of we not having any other scene of Bran after this. Right after that is one of my favorite scenes in this whole episode, and it's in King's Landing when we see a man with his buddies talking trash about Cersei and Jaime's incestuous relationship, and then he just goes into a dark alley to take a piss. Well, he takes his piss on the wall, and when he turns, there we see Robert Strong, who just pushes him against the wall, crushing his head, and the guy just dies. He goes back to Cersei, he's going to escort her to Mysalla's funeral, and then we see the Royal Guard, who's trying to stop Cersei from attending her daughter's funeral, and then we see some tensions rise when Cersei and Sir Robert Strong stand next to each other and the Royal Guard prepared to take out their swords. Actually, nothing turns out happening, and we have a conversation between Cersei and Tommen, and Tommen is telling her that he's not strong enough and he wants her to teach him to be strong because he knows he's not ready. And I really like this scene between Cersei and Tommen, mother and son. I like their dialogue, I like the construction to their side of the story that they're making. However, the guy who plays Tommen, his acting is not the best. Pretty far from it, actually. We go back to our favorite blind person and we see Arya sitting on the streets begging for money, and then comes the little girl again spanking her around with a stick, and she just disappears all of a sudden, and Arya just is throwing her stick around in the air trying to hit something or someone. She doesn't know the girl is not there anymore, and then a hand grabs the stick and it's Jaqen H'ghar, who's actually not Jaqen H'ghar, but I'm going to refer to him as Jaqen H'ghar. He's asking her to say her name, she says she's no one. He's telling her, if you say your name, you're going to sleep under a roof tonight. She says a girl is no one. He says, if you say your name, a man will give you food tonight. She says a girl is no one. He lets the stick go and says, come. And I like this. Arya's story is one of my favorite stories, and I actually like that her story is not caught up with the books, so I can at least know something from the series, because knowing this series so far and having read the books and knowing what's going to happen in the show kind of gives you comfort watching it. And with Game of Thrones, comfort is really important, at least when it comes to your characters. Let's go to Meereen, my friends, and Tyrion outing some knowledge into Grey Worm, Varys, and Missandei, and wow, I really love this scene. He just drinks around like he usually does, and then he spreads some knowledge out into the world, and everybody's looking at him thinking, how does this guy know all of this? He's talking about the legends of the dragons, how they used to be enormous during the invasion, and then a few generations later they were just small tiny bits because they were chained. And he goes into the cell of the dragons, and I love how he goes into the cell and Varys just stays at the door while he still goes down, and he talks to the dragons a little bit. I'm friends with your mother, I'm here to help, don't eat the help. I love that scene. And then he just lets the dragons go and runs back up to the door, and when he gets to Varys he says, when I have an idea like that, punch me in the face, please. I love these two characters' relationship. It's so good. Let's talk about Winterfell. Wow. Ramsay Bolton fucking kills his father, stabs him repeatedly, and then he goes to get Walder Frey and her newborn son, and he takes her to the dog pound, and he lets the dogs loose on her and his newborn brother. We didn't need any other reason to hate this guy, Benioff and Wise. We hated him enough already. Not that I have any lost love for Roose Bolton, let the bastard die. Well, not the bastard, the father of the bastard, but wow. The build to having the dogs eat up the baby and his mother was just so tense. You knew it was going to happen. They were not trying to play it any other way. But the build to the thing, I mean, that's the most pure and evil form of violence you can do on a media platform. Now we go into the Iron Islands, where we see Balon Greyjoy and Yara Greyjoy having a conversation about how they lost so many people and how they are not doing anything to invade the land. And then Balon Greyjoy goes into his Indiana Jones bridge, and there in front of him is his brother in a cloak. I think it's Aaron or Euron Greyjoy. It's one of the two. They didn't say his name. They have a conversation about how Balon Greyjoy's time as king is done. Aaron or Euron should be the one to rule now. And then he just throws his brother off of the Indiana Jones bridge. And then we see a funeral scene. I mean, it's like having a murder mystery movie, and you have the murder in the beginning of the movie, and then you follow the people who are connected to the person who dies. I mean, I don't want to follow that. I want to know about the guy who killed him, because we haven't got this guy in the show so far, and we're not even sure which brother it is. Both of them are great characters in the book, so I would want to follow the interesting characters. Please, Benioff and Wise. It's an interesting scene, but it doesn't go anywhere from that. And it's the only part of the Iron Islands I'm not interested in. I want to see the pirates. I want to see the guys who are actually going to do something to invade the Seven Kingdoms. I haven't talked about the wall on purpose because I want to talk about it right now as one, together. Every scene from the wall is going to be talked about now. We see Alistair Thorne and his band of bastards go into the room where Jon Snow is and trying to break in using their swords, but then come in the wildlings with a giant which just stomps everyone and throws them against the wall. It's violent, and unfortunately it's quick, because the men of the Night's Watch, the evil ones from the Night's Watch, they just surrender because they have a fucking giant. And now Jon Snow is safe because Tormund Giantsbane is the leader of this band of wildlings that came crashing into the wall, and now he's going to protect Jon Snow's body along with his friends and Davos from the Night's Watch. I would have liked to see a more violent scene and a longer scene. I wanted to see the men from the Night's Watch fight, but I understand how they would surrender because, again, fucking giant. Tormund, Jon's brothers, Davos, they're all in the room looking at the body along with Ghost, who's lying down next to the bed where Jon Snow is, and Davos goes into calling Melisandre. And I like his motivational speech. I also like that she didn't believe in herself anymore. She had every reason not to believe in herself anymore, but Davos just tells him. And Davos just tells her, I saw you giving birth to a ghost baby. I saw you doing many other things. Everything you said would happen so far has. So don't lose your faith if something does not happen immediately, if something does not happen how you pictured it. Don't lose your faith because a vision was not 100% correct. And she goes into trying to revive Jon Snow, cutting his hair, cutting a little bit of his beard off. She cleans up the wounds, and she throws his hair into the pit of fire, and she says some words that I did not understand, and it doesn't work. She leaves the room disappointed, and I really like Carice Van Houten's acting in this scene. Was really good. She just leaves the room, then Tormund Giantsbane does the same, then the brothers from Jon Snow's, and then Davos Seaworth. We see a little bit of Ghost sleeping, and then Jon Snow just wakes up all of a sudden. I really like this scene again because of Melisandre and Davos and their relationship. It's kind of shifting around, and I like how they built that scene. I like how they shift our thoughts into thinking that Jon Snow is going to revive into Ghost being a warg, but then all of a sudden, boom, there he is. He's awakened, and finally, Jon Snow is alive. And thank God I made a bet with a friend yesterday because he now owes me a movie ticket and a full bucket of popcorn. I like this episode fine. It's not one of the best, not one of the worst. This would not have bothered me as a season premiere. I know what I said last week, that we got a little bit of setup, a little bit of action, and this was the same. We got a lot of setup, and we got a little tiny bit of action. Because there are so many characters, and they are also widely spread out, we have to catch up to all of them. And I understand that it's complicated. Again, this wasn't a bad episode, but it's not one I'm going to remember. I'm going to remember a few scenes that were awesome here and there. Sir Robert Strong smashing a guy's head into the wall with just one hand, the wildlings invading the wall, and Jon Snow waking up, and that's probably it. Also, Tyrion's scene with the dragons, that was really good. But there you count 4 cool scenes in a 1-hour show. But I like how they just got done with reviving Jon Snow. That was really cool. Don't bait your fans in, because people who have read the books, people who thought out theories about this story all throughout the years, know that he's going to revive eventually, so you shouldn't do that. But those are just my thoughts. What did you guys think of this brand new episode 2 called Home episode of Game of Thrones? Let me know in the comments below. And what are your theories for what's coming in the next episode? Also, if you watched my Game of Thrones Season 6 episode 1 review, you saw that I announced a giveaway. I've already announced a winner in my Captain America Civil War Q&A. A Captain America Civil War spoilers review is coming this week. But to my next Q&A, and that is hashtag X-Men Apocalypse Q&A, I will announce now a new giveaway. I told you this Funko Pop figure was a character in a very famous sci-fi show, and I'm here to announce that it is Lieutenant Starbuck, played by Katie Sackhoff in Battlestar Galactica. I used to love this show, and if you haven't watched it, you really should. And I'm here to give away a figure from that show. You can start already sending me your questions for my X-Men Apocalypse Q&A. That Q&A will come out right after my X-Men Apocalypse movie review on May 20th. And as I said before, you can ask me more than one question per person, and you can ask me questions about anything geeky in general, personal questions about me, any movies or other TV shows that I watched and that I like, or basically anything. Just ask me anything, but just remember to hashtag in the comments below X-Men Apocalypse Q&A. Also, just like the previous Q&As, you have to be subscribed to participate in this giveaway. And also give this video, or any of the videos that I upload, a really great like. It really helps me out, and those are the only rules for this Q&A. There are links for my Facebook and my Instagram in the description below. Go stalk me on the internet. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, there's a little subscribe button in this area right here below the little screen. Go click it and get updated on all my videos whenever I upload them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know what you thought of episode 2 of season 6 of Game of Thrones, Home. What are you expecting from the next episode, and what are your favorite scenes in this episode 2. There's a link for my previous video right here. Go watch it and also give it a like. And of course, I will see you guys in the next review. Cheers.